Welcome to the All Things AI podcast. Today, I'm proud to introduce Gaurav Dhiman, an IT leader with over 20 years of experience who previously served as a software engineering lead at Meta. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me here today.
Thanks, Ishan, for having me.
Yeah. And I think looking at your background and the previous chat that we had, I think this is going to be a great discussion, especially as we're getting into the middle of 2025 and as agentic AI is becoming even bigger of a topic. And I know that's going to be a great topic today. So, with that being said, the first question I have is there any advancement that we're missing out that you think is going to unleash true agentic AI, similar to the way that we might have felt when ChatGPT was released? That sort of like amazed feeling.
Yeah, I think with ChatGPT now being there right now, people are more accustomed to the AI before ChatGPT era, right? But I still feel right now we have started talking about the AGI, but AGI is not well defined, right? Everyone have their own definition. I feel there are a couple of ways in which we will experience AGI. Some people are talking about building more larger models. There's a scaling law, right? And these models will become more and more intelligent, and they will eventually turn into an AGI. But there's a different approach also, right? AGI may be much more federated, right? So it may be like more agentic. So with the existing models, if we can build a product, right, that can actually manage the context, the memory, um, right, very nicely. Maybe we'll be able to build the product which can give us a feel of an AGI. I think of Google's multimodal model, right? And the Astra project that they are building on that, right? They have a capability of looking things, hearing things, speaking things. And if that is available to you all the time, either through your glasses or watches or through some other kind of device which is always with you, that will be kind of an AGI, right? Which can hear, listen, and speak to you anytime, and also remember the context and the memory. So I think the AGI will be much more, I would say, agentic. And to achieve that, I think we have all the right pieces right now. It's just about stitching those together, making a nice product, managing some of the things like context and memory, and we should be able to see that in fairly in a couple of years, I think.
Yeah. No, I think like I mean agentic AI is like we're getting there. And my next question is kind of going to touch on what I'm about to say a bit more, but it's like in agentic AI, we're kind of going to have like agents in these different areas. But AGI is going to be like I think the next like crazy thing, similar to like how most of the world probably felt with ChatGPT, just because they haven't experienced an AI of that sort. Because like you've seen the chatbots, and that at that point you're going to see something that's completely different. That can it's like a master of all trades, not even a jack of all trades. So I think that's might be what we're trying to head towards, but we're in the steps of that. So I guess yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so on your earlier question also, right? I think, you asked about, do we need something drastically different to achieve AGI? Um, Not sure, but I think LLMs is something, or not LLMs, but the transformer was the thing that brought a big change, right? And that led us to an LLM era. And I think again, there needs to be some core, new breakthroughs in the research. Other than the transformers, maybe new architectures, obviously a larger data sets. Uh, um, and eventually those breakthroughs may lead us to some altogether new era, um, in addition to LLMs, which can lead us to
And
AGI.
then, yeah. And while we're kind of at it, like, do you want to explain, like, I guess, kind of what your definition of like AGI would be? And maybe like how close you think we are to achieving like a really like basic level of it, I guess. That might, the second part might be harder just because it's like obviously not easy to forecast that, but if you want to.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, okay. So yeah, I think everyone has their own definition of AGI. It's not well defined. It's still fluid, right? But I think many people agree on that. AGI will be a stage where the AI is normally good, or at least at human level in most of the jobs that we do, at least in digital world, right? Maybe in physical world also, if we have robots by then. But yeah, AGI is kind of it's a moving target. So as in, maybe, in 2016 when we'll discuss AGI, the AGI definition will move further. All right. So,
Yeah.
and what was the second part of your question?
And like, how close do you think we are to achieving it?
Yeah, again, that's a very again an open-ended thing, right? But I mean, I would say next 5 to 10 years will be drastic change. And we will start seeing the glimpse of an AGI maybe in 5 to 7 years of time. Um, but I'm hopeful, right? In 10 years, the world will be very different. And uh, so whatever we define AGI to be, some part of that will be there, definitely there in 7 to 10 years.
Yeah. And I kind of like, I guess I want to circle a bit back to agentic AI now. Like when agentic AI is like, it's kind of out there and there are these mostly autonomous agents being developed. How do you think that development's really going to look? Like, are there going to be companies that, because like we have companies that focus fully on the developing of like large language models and
Yeah.
the tools that you then use to build agents. So, are there going to be like new companies that pop up that just develop agents, or how would that development process really look?
I think if we look back and see how we had different eras within tech itself, right? Like when internet came up, internet was just started by connecting some of the computers within DARPA, right? And then it led to the universities and then to the whole globe, right? And then that built the core infrastructure for other companies to build over,
Yeah.
right? Like, the one of the outcomes of internet is big e-commerce. Earlier, people used to have the physical stores. Now, still they are there, but a large portion of it is now a digital e-commerce, right? Which is all running on internet. So, same way, I think we are at very early stage. We are right now building the basic infrastructures, which is like the foundational models, making them available through internet to all of the people. All right, and enterprises are experimenting with their own fine-tuned models. But that's a infrastructure foundational layer, all right? And above that, now we have different business use cases. Like for instance, if you have tried Cursor or Windsurf kind of tools, right? They are agentic AI applications focused on one domain, which is software engineering, right? So we will have something similar for lawyers, maybe for doctors, maybe for real estate, right? So all these are different, you can say, vertical or industries that will get impacted with agentic AI. And I feel the core part is, that agents are right now still immature in the sense, they are not working as we expect them to work. They are non-deterministic systems. They are not optimized right now, right, as are deterministic systems. But I think in couple of years, maybe in 1 to 2 years, we will see a lot of maturity in that. So agents will start working the way we expect them to work, right? Like for instance, in if you see within software engineering itself, last 1 year, where the cursor was and now where the cursor is, right? There's a huge difference, right? So because of the models, because of the agentic loop they have built. Similarly, I think same kind of experimentation and initial apps in different industries will lead us to more agentic application layer. So there will be a I think consistent progress at both foundational layer and more experimentation in the application layer.
For sure, yeah. I think that it's really what we're going to see play out over the course of the next few years. And you were kind of like towards like the second half of your answer, you're kind of getting towards like what I wanted to go towards next in terms of like software engineering, which is where a lot of your expertise is. But right before we get there, I want to ask like we're talking about all these like I want to say crazy, I mean, inventions happening that are definitely going to enter professions that have been highly sought after forever, like software engineering, medicine like law. So as that's happening, is AGI a potential threat to how society because of like AGI and agentic AI because of how powerful these tools are going to become in the next few years?
Uh, I think definitely there'll be a big disruption, right? So, I mean, we all as a humans, right, we have never experienced something like this, which is so disruptive. And this is going to impact our lifestyle, this is going to impact our economy, this is going to impact jobs, everything, right? So I'm not sure whether that will be going to make things irrelevant altogether, the AGI, but it's going to impact definitely drastically,
Yeah.
right? So I think as a society, we need to move fast. We need to change fast ourselves. We need to unlearn and learn new things very fast, which is difficult for most of the humans. All right. There'll be definitely a section of the humans which are good in adapting new things. They'll move forward quickly, but it's not like a common trait of humanity, right? So we takes generations to change, right? If you see in our grandfather's time, the kind of jobs were very different. It was more agriculture oriented. In our father's time, it was more mechanical jobs in factories, industries. In our generation, it's more computer, digital, right, internet connected jobs. And in the future, it'll be like change happening every 5 years, which is very difficult for humans to adapt to.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure whether it'll make everything meaningless or not, but it's going to be hugely disruptive. And we need to be, oh, and the people who will move fast, will adapt fast, will be able to stay there. But for the most of the people, it will be really difficult to manage that change.
I completely agree with that because like the thing is you can look at past revolutions like that happen like I think you're talking about 5 years. I think like on a bigger scale like you were mentioning generations. I think that's like that's a pretty like kind of steady way of looking at it because like generation to generation usually professions have switched to it some extent. The thing is previously when we saw things like big like the Industrial Revolution and events like that, you'd usually see more people coming into jobs because like there's more roles to be filled now. But the thing is, this is another revolution, but it's one where you might need less people to fill roles, especially because like obviously a company would probably prioritize their profits over hiring more people just to keep them in jobs, at least in an unregulated world. So I definitely see what like you're getting at with that.
Maybe in short term, yes, right. I mean, maybe in short term, there'll be reduction in defined jobs, and people need to figure out what they need to do. But at the same time, the people will have a lot many opportunities also. So the people who are really opportunist, the people who really want to learn new things, they will have a lot of opportunities to try out new things outside the job, and they will, I think, eventually build something new. So effectively, net, I would say this technology will allow people much more freedom, provided people are ready to adapt.
Yeah. No, I think having those AI skills, like whether that means just like I think being able to code is a big part of it, but we'll have to see how like the job market really adapts in the next few years because that's going to redefine the skill sets that many like people are going to need to have coming out of college or even people that have already came out of college who might be displaced by that. Yeah. And I guess like the last part that I want to cover is like software engineering. It's a really big space, but I think like with some of the companies actually heading towards layoffs, but still like maintaining or even boosting revenues recently, it's definitely going to be a pretty big shift happening in there. So just on a higher level, how is AI currently transforming the software engineering space?
Yeah, I mean, it is transforming very fast. If
Yeah.
you look at just 3 years back, right, nobody thought an idea of having tools where you can explain things in English and it can do things for you, right? I mean, before ChatGPT, nobody even thought about it. Maybe a couple of researchers in Google or maybe in OpenAI, they would have that visibility, but most of the world was not aware of it. And now we are at a stage where we can basically build a very compelling and appealing applications with just writing in English. All right. So I saw many high schoolers, I saw many product managers who are not so core technical. They don't know how to code, but they have ideas. All
Yeah.
right. And they are able to translate their ideas with the help of the tools like Cursor, Windsurf, or there are other couple of tools. So it's transforming very fast. 3 years is nothing. All right. I mean, I spent more than 20 years in the industry, and I see most of it was like the same way, right? We used to write code, we used to define what the code needs to do, right? Although there's definitely some changes every year, right? How we deploy applications, earlier it was monolithic, then we moved to microservices, we had containerized, right? So all those changes came in industry, but it was all at large level. We were defining the software, we were defining the business rules, all right? But now within last 3 years, suddenly things changed, and now we are not, I mean, we have the tools which can do things for us. And I think nobody knows in next 5 years uh, what what these tools will be able to do. Maybe they will be able to do complete application development, 80% of it, not 100%, right, 80 to 90% of it. But I would still think that, you still need some people who would need to have an oversight over these tools, because as of now these tools are good, but they hallucinate. They do something which you don't expect them to do. They break something while fixing something in the some part of the code. So you need to have somebody who is well aware of how the application or the solution that you're building is architected. Um, so you would still need some technical mindset, not maybe a hands-on coding thing, but technical mindset would still be required, right? So the people who are having good ideas and are a little technical will definitely be at benefit here. But there's a large chunk of people who has just ideas and don't know how to build things. They will have at least some starting point to start with.
Yeah. No, I think like, and even people who can code, like a lot of people, like, I mean, I think this is almost like a trend nowadays, but like, if even in high school and mostly in college, a lot of people are building new startups. And the thing is, like before, it might have taken like months to build like a viable product. I think it's called the MVP. But now like people are able to build those in like it's not hours because that's probably not a startup idea, but like a couple of days. And so it really that's amazing that and they use tools like Cursor or and like there's people building like AI development tools probably using AI to code a lot of that. So it's like it's really crazy and mind-boggling to think about that that's the pace that we're moving at. But nonetheless, it is happening in real time, like as we speak. So
Yeah. I mean, we
yeah,
cannot put them, we cannot say in black and white, like, this tool is 100% good and can do everything. No, we'll
yeah,
never do that, right?
yeah,
This tool is something which is going to increase productivity 70, 80%. Whatever used to take months is now taking weeks or days,
yeah,
right? That itself is a big, big jump in productivity.
yeah,
Uh, and they may be good in some part of it, not the whole stack, right? So people will utilize them, will experiment, and will utilize them where they fit more appropriately. Like, in front end development itself, right? These tools are very good.
yeah.
Uh, so may not be good in back end development or API, but that's what, they will improve in the different areas also.
Mhm.
Definitely a huge jump in the productivity. Nobody thought about it 3 years back, and within just 3 years, we have achieved so much. And I'm quite optimistic, that they will be much much better tools in another 3 years or so.
For sure. And lastly, like we talked about Cursor many times throughout this discussion. I kind of want to like target that area now. So, do you think AI and specifically tools like Cursor, which can be prompted to complete like minorly complex tasks like across an entire code base, do you think that type of AI will remove the necessity for most low-level software engineers in the near future?
uh, I think it is going to impact, definitely. You may not need that many initial junior level software engineers, because if you look at, right, the junior or the entry level software engineers, what they do is they have a defined task, right? Which tells, okay, you have to implement this feature, or with a clear specification, right? What needs to be done, how needs to be done, how the testing needs to be done. And that engineer simply applies his mind to implement the logic to implement that feature or a particular task, right? So these tools are very good in that. If you can define the context for these tools, like you define it for the junior engineers, right, with all the clear specifications, they do good. They are really good in that. So I feel it's going to definitely impact the entry level juniors. Uh, yeah, but as I said earlier, right, this will also enable many entry level juniors to build their own products, like many high schoolers, right?
Yeah, I think there's really going to be like a boom in the amount of applications and different products that we see coming out of this, especially in just maybe the next few months and years. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed this discussion.
Thanks, Ishan, for having me. Well, take care.